I was still in the hospital, barely 24 hours after giving birth. I hadn't even processed everything yet. The pain meds were still wearing off. My body felt like it had been hit by a train, and my mind was somewhere between gratitude and total exhaustion. Ezra had just left an hour ago to go home, shower, and pick up my favorite snacks. It was the first time I'd been alone since Layla was born. I was lying there in bed, staring at the little bassinet beside me, thinking how surreal it was that she was actually here. My daughter, Layla Monroe. She had a tiny wrinkle between her brows, just like I did, and a patch of dark hair that stuck up no matter how I tried to smooth it. She was perfect. Every breath she took felt like it pulled me deeper into some new world I didn't know existed before. One where everything that mattered began and ended with her. Then the nurse walked in. She was cheerful, holding a chart like it was any other routine check-in. She glanced at me, smiled, then said casually, "Your sister's here to see the baby." At first, I thought I misheard her. "My what?" I asked. She looked up from the chart. "Your sister. She just came in. She knew your full name. Said you'd name the baby Layla. She's in the hall holding her right now." I sat straight up. Every part of my body protested, but the surge of adrenaline drowned it all out. "I don't have a sister," I said. That smile dropped from the nurse's face. She looked back down at her paperwork, scanning it again, like maybe she missed something. "She said her name was Wren. She knew a lot about you, and she already has the baby." That last part hit like ice. "She's holding Layla?" My voice cracked. "You let her hold my baby?" "She knew the name, ma'am," the nurse said gently. "I assumed—" I didn't let her finish. I threw the blankets off and swung my legs over the side of the bed. My body screamed, but I didn't care. My heart was pounding so loud it felt like it was in my throat. I gripped the fourth pole for balance and made my way to the hallway, one slow step at a time, the world narrowing with every foot I moved forward. And then I saw her. A woman was standing by the window at the end of the hall. She had long, dark hair pulled back into a braid and a long green cardigan. She was cradling Layla, rocking her gently. Layla wasn't crying. She looked peaceful, like she belonged there in that stranger's arms. Something in my gut twisted hard. "Hey," I shouted, "what are you doing?" The woman turned slowly, like she wasn't surprised at all. Her eyes locked on mine and I froze. She looked like me. Not vaguely, not coincidentally. Her face? It was like looking at an older version of myself. Same sharp cheekbones, same pale green eyes, same jawline. I couldn't make sense of it. "I'm Wren," she said quietly. "You don't know me, but I'm your sister." My stomach dropped. My fingers went cold. I took 2 shaky steps toward her. "You're not my sister," I said, more to myself than her. "You don't have to believe me right away," she said. "I just needed to see you, to see her." She looked down at Layla again, like she already loved her. "Give her to me," I said. My voice was low, unsteady. Wren nodded and gently transferred Layla into my arms. The moment she touched my chest, I exhaled like I'd been holding my breath for hours. Layla stirred softly but didn't wake up. She was warm. She was safe. She was mine. I backed away a little, clutching her tightly. "How did you know her name?" I asked. "How did you know I was here?" Wren just stood there, hands at her sides, no signs of guilt or panic. "I'll explain everything. I'm not here to hurt you, I promise," she said. But I didn't move. I didn't say anything. I just stood there in that hallway, my mind spinning, my daughter sleeping in my arms, and a stranger with my face telling me she was my sister. That was the moment everything changed. The maternity room was quiet except for the soft beeping of monitors and the faint shuffle of nurses' shoes down the hallway. It smelled like hand sanitizer, warm formula, and the faint floral detergent they probably used for the sheets. The room had one big window that faced east, and morning light was pouring in, hitting the corner of the bassinet just right. Layla's skin glowed golden. She looked like a painting, like something sacred. I couldn't stop looking at her. I felt like I was watching a piece of my heart sleeping outside of my body. Every time she made a little noise, a soft hiccup or a breathy sigh, I'd hold mine. There was a strange, fierce tenderness in me that I'd never felt before. Something ancient, protective. I wanted the whole world to be quiet so she could rest. Ezra had left an hour ago. He had been incredible during labor. The whole process had been long and brutal. 23 hours of contractions, pushing through pain I didn't think I could survive. But when it was over and they placed her on my chest, none of that mattered. Ezra cried harder than I did. He cut the cord with shaking hands and kissed me like we'd just survived a war together. Maybe we had. After the whirlwind of doctors, family texts, and feeding instructions, he finally said, "Let me go grab your robe and some of those cheese crackers you like. I'll be back in 20 minutes. So I was alone, for the first time since everything changed. I thought I'd want to sleep. I didn't. I just lay there, propped up in bed, one hand resting near Layla's blanket, watching her chest rise and fall like a lullaby. I was sore in places I didn't know could hurt. My body was wrecked, but my heart had never been so full. For a while, it was just peace. Then I started thinking about my own mother, Eliza. She died 2 years ago from ovarian cancer. It happened fast. By the time they found it, it had already spread. I was 26 and barely holding my life together. She had always been a single mom, and everything I am, I owe to her. She worked double shifts as a waitress at the Golden Griddle to make sure I could go to a halfway decent school. She missed sleep, missed holidays, missed birthdays, sometimes just to keep the lights on. But she never missed loving me. She never talked much about my father, only told me that he left when I was a baby and that we were better off without him. She never said his name. I asked once when I was 15, and she got this look on her face like I had ripped something open inside her. I never asked again. We didn't have a big family, no siblings, no cousins I knew of, just me and her. My whole childhood, every holiday, every school play, every scraped knee, it was just us. So when I got pregnant, part of me ached for her more than I ever had before. I wanted to call her 100 times during those 9 months. I wanted to ask her how she survived the loneliness, the exhaustion, the fear. I wanted her to tell me I'd be okay, that I was doing it right. The idea of becoming a mother without my own mother was something I hadn't fully processed until I was sitting in that hospital room with Layla beside me. I reached for the little pink hat they'd given us after delivery and gently adjusted it on her head. She stirred a little, wrinkled her nose, and went back to sleep. She looked like she trusted the world. I whispered to her, "You don't know it yet, but you changed everything. You made me more than I thought I could be." My phone buzzed next to me with a message from Ezra. "On my way back, got you snacks, and I stopped to grab that lavender tea you like." I smiled. He was trying so hard to take care of me, and it was working. Ezra had always been steady. We met in college and survived long distance when I moved back to Ohio to take care of my mom during her final months. He didn't hesitate. He came when I asked him to. He stayed when everything fell apart. When I told him I was pregnant, he cried, then immediately went out and bought 3 different parenting books and a crib he couldn't afford. He was the kind of man who never made me feel alone. So for the first time in years, I felt like I was stepping into something solid, a future, a family of my own. The hospital room felt like a little bubble. It was just me and Layla and this strange, beautiful silence between us. A silence I had earned. If anyone had asked me in that moment what I was feeling, I would have said joy, exhaustion, hope. I had no idea that within minutes, someone would walk in and say the words that would shatter everything I thought I knew about my life. My sister, I had said? I didn't have one, or so I thought. I didn't know I could move that fast after giving birth. My legs were weak and my lower back throbbed with every step, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. The second that nurse told me someone was holding my baby, a woman claiming to be my sister, I didn't feel pain. I felt cold fear. I pushed out of the room, dragging my IV pole behind me, ignoring the sting in my abdomen. The hallway was long and quiet. There was a window at the end letting in soft light. That's where she stood. A woman in a green cardigan. She was holding Layla. It was like my breath got caught in my chest. My heart was pounding in my ears. I took a step forward, not even sure what I was seeing. She was swaying gently, her back partially turned. Layla was wrapped in her blanket, peaceful, unaware. The woman turned slowly when she heard me. She looked straight at me, and for a moment, I couldn't speak. She looked so much like me. Same pale skin, same green eyes, same structure around the mouth. She could have been an older version of me or a cousin I'd never met, but I didn't have any cousins, or sisters, or anyone. Her voice was calm when she spoke. "You named her Layla," she said softly. "It suits her." I felt a wave of heat rush to my face. "Give her to me, right now." She nodded and stepped toward me, gently transferring Layla into my arms. I checked her immediately. Her face, her fingers. She was warm, safe, unharmed. But my hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped her. I held her tighter, turning my body slightly away from the woman. "Who are you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "My name is Ren. I know this is a shock. I just needed to see you and her." "You told the nurse you were my sister," I said. "I am," she replied without hesitation. "No, you're not. I don't have a sister." She took a step back, creating space between us. "I know you were raised believing that. Your mother left before I was born. My father raised me. Your father, too. He told me about you when I was 13. Her words hit like a rock to the chest. I blinked, trying to absorb them, but they didn't make sense. "My father?" I asked. She nodded. "The one who abandoned us? The one my mom never talked about?" "He didn't abandon you," she said. "She left him, took you and disappeared. He looked for you for years, but she never left a trail." I could feel something cracking inside me. I didn't want to believe her, but the way she said it, the way her voice stayed steady, like she wasn't here to convince me but to simply say it, I didn't know what to do with that. "You're lying," I said, but it didn't come out strong. It came out shaky, weak. "I'm not," she said. "I didn't come here to hurt you. I didn't even expect to see the baby. I just needed to find you. I only found out where you were last week. Ezra posted a photo on Facebook. One of your friends congratulated you by tagging your full name in the hospital. That's how I found you." I looked down at Layla. Her tiny lips were parted. She had no idea any of this was happening. "You tracked me down on Facebook?" I asked. I know how that sounds, but I didn't know if I'd ever get another chance. Our father passed away 3 months ago. He was sick. I sat with him at the end, and before he died, he gave me this. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small envelope. It was worn, yellowed at the edges. She didn't hand it to me, just held it gently in her hands. "It's from your mom," she said. "It was the last thing he ever got from her, a letter. She left it when she took you. He said if I ever found you, I should give it to you. I've carried it with me every day since. I didn't reach for it. I didn't trust her, not yet. But I couldn't tear my eyes away from the envelope. I took a slow breath, trying to hold myself together. "If you're telling the truth," I said, "why come now? Why wait until after I've just given birth? Why not months ago, years ago?" "Because I didn't want to be a ghost at your door," she said. "I didn't want to show up with nothing. I wanted something real, proof, a story that made sense, and I wasn't ready. I was scared. But seeing Layla, it pushed me. You're a mom now. That matters." Layla stirred in my arms. I shifted her gently, kissed the top of her head. My hands were still trembling. I looked back at Ren. She wasn't crying. She wasn't angry. She wasn't pushing. She was just standing there like she had been waiting her whole life for this moment. And I didn't know what to do. Because some part of me believed her. And that terrified me more than anything else. I sat back on the hospital bed with Layla in my arms. My body still ached in every way, but none of that mattered. What mattered was the woman sitting in the chair across from me. Ren. A name I had never heard in my life, attached to a face that looked disturbingly familiar. I let the silence fill the room because I didn't know what to say. She wasn't pushing. She just waited, hands folded in her lap, that small envelope still in her grip. It looked fragile, like it had traveled a long way to get here. Part of me wanted to scream, to call security, to make it all go away. But the other part, the quieter part, needed to hear more. My mind was racing. If she was lying, she was either the best actress I'd ever seen or disturbingly unhinged. But if she wasn't lying, If even a piece of what she said was true, then my entire life had a chapter I'd never read. I looked down at Layla. Her tiny hand was curled near her chin. She was asleep again, completely unaware of the chaos in the room. "I need answers," I said finally. Ren nodded. "I'll tell you anything you want to know." "Start with the letter. Let me see it." She held it out slowly, like it was something sacred. I took it carefully, not quite ready to open it. The envelope was addressed to Eliza Monroe, but there was no stamp, no return address, just a date written in the top corner, March 2000. I was 3. I held the envelope against my chest for a moment before placing it on the table beside me. I wasn't ready to read my mother's words just yet. I needed to understand what Ren thought she knew. "So," I said, locking eyes with her, "you think we're sisters because our dad told you about me?" "Yes," she said. "When I turned 13, he sat me down and told me I had a half-sister. He said he had been with your mom years before meeting mine. He called you his greatest regret, said he wasn't strong enough to fight to keep you when she left." "That doesn't sound like something a man just confesses," I said. "He was sick for a long time," she said, "and guilty. After my mom died, he started talking more about the past. He had photos, one of you as a baby, in your mom's arms. I recognized your face the second I saw your pregnancy post." "You said he died 3 months ago?" Ren nodded. "I sat with him the night he passed. He asked me again to find you. I didn't think I would. Then you posted about the baby. The tag had your full name. It was the first real lead I ever had." She opened her purse and pulled out an old Polaroid. She held it toward me. I hesitated, then took it. It was my mom, Eliza. She looked younger than I'd ever seen her, maybe in her early 20s. She was holding me on her hip, standing in a garden. She was smiling, but her eyes were cautious, like she didn't trust the person behind the camera. I had never seen this photo before. My chest tightened. "I thought I knew everything about my mother," I said quietly. "We were close. We went through everything together. I don't understand why she'd keep this from me." "I think she was protecting you," Ren said. "From him, from pain, or maybe she just didn't know how to explain it." I was tired, emotionally raw. But even through the fog, something was shifting. My whole life I'd believed I was the only child of a broken relationship. I had painted my father as a villain because that's how it was always framed. But now a stranger was sitting across from me claiming to be my blood. And the photo in my hand, the letter on the table, they were things my mother never mentioned. Pieces of a truth I didn't know existed. I looked up at Ren again. "What do you want from me?" I asked. She paused before answering. "Nothing. I didn't come here to take anything. I don't want money or help or a place in your life if you don't want me there. I just wanted to meet you, to let you know that you were never forgotten." There was no edge in her voice, no resentment, just something deeper. Sadness, maybe. Longing. I thought of all the times I had cried after losing my mom, how alone I had felt being pregnant without her. The idea that someone out there had known about me, that someone had cared enough to look for me, it cracked something open. "I need time," I said. "This is a lot." "Take all the time you need," she said. "I'm not going anywhere." Ezra walked in then, holding a grocery bag and looking confused. His eyes bounced between me, Ren, and the letter. I looked at him, then back at her. "She says she's my sister." He blinked. "Is she?" I didn't answer. I just picked up the envelope and held it in my hands, suddenly more afraid to open it than I'd been of giving birth. Because if Ren was right, everything I thought I knew about my family was about to change forever. I waited until Ezra left again. He had been supportive, but I could tell he was overwhelmed. I promised him I would rest and that we'd talk later. But I needed space. I needed quiet. I needed to open the letter without anyone watching my face. Ren offered to step out too, but I asked her to stay. If this letter said what she claimed it did, then she deserved to be there when I read it. I didn't fully trust her, but I didn't feel afraid anymore either. I just felt uncertain, like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, unsure whether I was about to fall or fly. Layla was asleep beside me in her bassinet. Her chest rose and fell in that steady rhythm that reminded me to breathe. I opened the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of lined paper, folded twice. I recognized the handwriting instantly. My mother's script was neat, slanted, and always slightly rushed, like her thoughts moved faster than her pen. I began to read. Calla, if he's reading this, it means I left. I didn't want to run, but I had no choice. You were just a baby, and I didn't trust him anymore. I was scared. Not of what he'd do to you, he always loved you, but of what he might do to me. His temper had changed. I didn't feel safe. I didn't know how to raise a daughter in a house that made me shrink. I don't know what he's told you. Maybe that I was unstable. Maybe that I was cruel. But I hope you'll look at this letter someday and remember how I raised you, how I loved you. I didn't lie to protect you from him. I lied to survive. There's something else. He had another daughter. Before we left, I found out. Her name was Wren. She was small, just a toddler then. I wanted to take her with me, but I wasn't her mother, and he wouldn't let her go. If she finds you someday, and I hope she does, be kind. None of this is her fault. She didn't choose any of it. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I wanted to, so many times, but I didn't know how. Love always, Mom. I stared at the letter until the words blurred. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. My throat closed around something thick and burning. I folded the paper again with shaking hands and set it on my lap. Wren hadn't said a word. She just sat quietly watching my face, waiting. I looked up at her. She didn't ask what it said. She didn't try to press in. She just waited for me to speak. It's true, I said, my voice hoarse. She wrote about you. She knew about you. She wanted me to find you one day. Wren closed her eyes just for a second, like she needed to keep her emotions in check. When she opened them, they were glassy. I wasn't sure, she whispered. I hoped, but I didn't know if she remembered me, if she cared. She did, I said. She wanted to take you. She said she was scared of him, that she didn't trust him anymore. Wren nodded slowly. He wasn't always easy, but he tried. After she left, he changed a lot, got quieter, sadder. He never stopped talking about her, about you. I didn't even know his name, I said. She never mentioned him after we left, not once. She didn't have to, Wren said. She protected you in the way she thought was best. I nodded. I understood now. I didn't like it, but I understood. The truth didn't come like a dramatic thunderclap. It came softly, slowly, like sunlight creeping into a room you thought was dark. For years, I had believed I came from silence, that I had no roots, just a single mother, a blank space where a father should have been and no one else. But it wasn't true. I looked at Wren again, really looked. She had our mother's mouth, my nose, our father's eyes, maybe. There was something familiar in the way she tilted her head when she was listening. She wasn't a stranger anymore. She was family. I'm sorry, I said, for how I treated you earlier. I didn't know. I didn't understand. You had every right to question me, she said. I would have done the same. I picked up Layla and placed her gently in my arms, her body molded into mine like a puzzle piece. I looked down at her, then back at Wren. She's the first piece of the next part of our story, I said. Wren smiled, and for the first time, it felt natural, like something I had seen before, not just a resemblance, a connection. I'd like to be in her life, she said. If you'll let me. I nodded. We'll figure it out, slowly. Outside the window, the light shifted. Afternoon sun lit up the edges of the curtains. The machines in the room beeped softly in rhythm. Wren stood and walked to the edge of the bassinet, peeking in. She looks like you, she said, but I think she has his eyes. I smiled. She has her own story now, and we get to be part of it. It's been 5 weeks since I brought Layla home from the hospital. In some ways, it feels like 5 minutes. In others, it feels like a year. The days have become a blur of feedings, diaper changes, half-finished cups of coffee, and learning how to be a mother. Every time I hold her, I still get that same feeling in my chest, like the whole world quiets down for her. And now, when I think about family, I don't feel like I'm standing in an empty room anymore. Wren didn't disappear after that day. She gave me space, like I asked, but she never pulled away. She texted once a week, checking in, never pressing, just letting me know she was still there. And one morning, after a long, sleepless night with Layla, I found myself typing, "Do you want to come by?" She showed up that afternoon with homemade soup and a stuffed rabbit she had sewn by hand. She told me she liked crafts and that it helped her through anxiety. I watched her gently hold Layla in her arms and hum a lullaby I hadn't heard since childhood. It wasn't just coincidence, it was memory. It was blood. We started small, short visits, coffee in the kitchen, quiet afternoons where she held the baby while I closed my eyes for 20 minutes. It wasn't perfect. It didn't fix the years we lost, but it gave us something real, a starting point. I told Ezra everything. At first, he was hesitant, protective, but once he met her, something shifted. He saw what I was beginning to see. She didn't want anything from us. She wasn't trying to wedge herself into my life. She was just trying to find her way into the truth. Some nights I sit on the porch while Layla naps on my chest, and I think about my mom, about the letter she left behind, about how much pain she must have been carrying when she made the decision to leave and never look back. I don't blame her. I used to wonder why she never told me. Now I understand that some stories are too painful to tell while you're still living them. She did the best she could. She loved me the only way she knew how, with her whole heart and her whole life. And she gave me enough love to carry into this next chapter. Ren and I talk about her sometimes. We swap memories. Ren doesn't have many, just flashes of visits, a few overheard arguments, a photograph her dad kept in a locked drawer. But every piece we share brings a little more of my mom back into focus. We're stitching together a family quilt that was torn apart before it could be finished. We finally did the DNA test, not because I didn't believe her anymore, but because I needed to put the last doubt to rest. It came back just as we expected. Half-sisters, confirmed. But by the time the results arrived, I already knew the truth. I saw it in the way Ren looked at Layla. I saw it in the way she sat beside me week after week, showing up even when it was hard or awkward or quiet. Love doesn't always come loudly. Sometimes it arrives softly, like an apology, like a second chance. I used to think my story was about loss, about the things I didn't have. No father, no siblings, no big family dinners or long holiday tables. I used to believe that motherhood would be the beginning of something brand new, but it turns out it was the bridge to something unfinished, something waiting. When I look at Layla now, I don't just see my daughter. I see the place where past and future meet. She is her own person, but she carries the stories of people who came before her, people she'll one day ask about. And now I'll have more to tell her. I'll tell her about my mom, how brave she was, how hard she fought for us. I'll tell her about Ezra and how love isn't about big moments but quiet, steady ones. And I'll tell her about Ren, the sister I never knew I had, who walked into a hospital one day and helped rewrite everything I thought I knew about myself. We're still getting to know each other. We're still learning how to talk, how to disagree, how to show up. But there's grace in that. There's healing. Family isn't just about who's there at the beginning. Sometimes it's about who finds you later, who stays, who listens, and who helps carry the parts of the story you didn't know were missing. I thought I became a mother the day Layla was born, but now I know something else happened too. That day I also became a sister. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched you in any way, if you've ever lost someone, found someone, or discovered a piece of your life you didn't know was missing, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I read every single one. If you think someone else needs to hear this, please share the video. Maybe it helps someone feel less alone. And if you'd like more real-life stories like this, stories about love, loss, family, and the things that shape who we are, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new story. Thank you for being here. I'm grateful for this space. I'm grateful for you. I'll see you in the next one.